Hi, this is Regina White Favors with the new series, Don't Move Her In. And so this series is typically appealing to men who are considering moving in a woman. And these are the types of men who have their lives together, financially stable, keep a job, has always kept a job, likely has um, taken care of himself since he was, maybe 16, 17, 18 years old, and he might be educated, he might not be educated, he might be a person who has just worked a job for 20, 25 years, right? And so this is a man who is maybe interested in a woman and may be interested in moving her into his house. This can also be a relationship that could have maybe started very short term and has converted into maybe long term, not maybe not 5 years, but maybe 1 year to 2 years, going on 3 years. And so that person, these two people could have been in a relationship, each having their own places, and then later making a decision to move in together. When you look at this topic and you look at the question that you see here, why she refuses to reconcile with you, this is implying a longer term relationship. So that means we're talking about 3 years, right? 3 or more years. And people tend to get very comfortable in their relationships. And so sometimes they don't pay attention to the timing, how long they've been, because a lot of times if you have been in a relationship a long time, you are more likely, and you're cognizant of it, you are more likely to continue in the relationship. Why would you want to terminate a relationship that is very long term, when you could just try to work it out? And I've asked that question a lot of times of people who have been married, for double digit years. And we're not talking about 12 years. We're talking about like 20, 25, 30 years, um, 33 years, those longer years. And somehow they decide to divorce. And I've always been very confused about that. And maybe because people started out very early or too early in their life, and by the time they get to their 40s, which is really when you feel your mortality, you sort of want to do something else, and it's probably the midlife crisis, um, metaphor, right? It could be a number of things, but I want to talk about why she refuses to reconcile with you along the lines of understanding that when a person um, does not want to reconcile with you, and there hasn't been any abuse, there hasn't been any infidelity, there hasn't been anything, just a solid, well, perceivably a solid, stable relationship, and you moved her in, and it has been chaotic from the start. Sometimes she's cold, sometimes she's hot, sometimes you feel like you're getting somewhere with her, and sometimes you don't feel like you're getting anywhere with her. You try to invite her to see the family, your mother, your other family members. Somehow she always comes up with an excuse. She wants your financial pocketbook. She would definitely put on the face to get whatever she needs to get from you in terms of financially. And then she's out the door, and sometimes she comes home and sometimes she doesn't. So it's a roller coaster ride, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, financially. But why she refuses to reconcile with you really speaks to her original intent for the relationship, meaning that we all set a goal for any type of relationship that we enter. It can be friendship, it can be romantic relationship. We always set some kind of goal. Many times women already believe that the man that they are with is a keeper, and that they're going to start planning their lives, even if there is no consensus, even if there's no agreement, even if the man has not said, "Hey, I want to be with you." Women have already planned the wedding, they've already planned the house, they've already plate how much money he needs to make and how much money she needs to make, right? If she's working, and they've already done this. The man, on the other hand, has not done any of that. It's not even in his mind to be considerate of that, right? But it goes back to the original intent for the relationship. You either I always look at the relationships, the interpersonal relationships that we have with people of all types and categories. That when you are in a relationship with someone, either you're going to pull that person over to your side, or that person is going to pull you over to their side. And it just depends on what it is. If you have a friend, for example, who gets you into trouble all the time, well, that friend has persuaded you that their way of handling life is better. Even if it gets you into trouble, it doesn't matter. Their way of life is better. And so then you must be in agreement with it, because every time the person gets you into trouble, you are right there by that person's side, like a ride or die. And you never challenge any of the person's belief systems. You don't even challenge your own belief system. You continue to do it until the situation gets to a point where you have to face why you continue to get into these types of relationships, especially friendships where the person is getting you into trouble, because it's just going to escalate and escalate. And a lot of times the person is going to do one of those things. I want to go into, 7-Eleven, go get something right quick. And you don't know that the person plans on robbing the place. And then all of a sudden, uh, the person, the friend, is running to the car, and now you have become the getaway driver. So that person has positioned and repositioned and positioned and repositioned this push and pull, this push and pull so many times in a relationship that you didn't even realize that you were being pushed and pulled. And even if you had sort of like a passive aggressive attitude towards the situation, sometimes you voice your opinion, sometimes you held your peace. The fact that the person can pull and push you in different directions and then end up in a life altering incident or decision suggests that you didn't necessarily have any uh, well, you didn't, the person didn't necessarily have any honorable intent towards you. Because if a person cares about you, they're not going to try to get you into trouble. They're going to do all that they can to maintain a relationship with you of any kind. If I'm in relationship with someone, I don't want to do all that I can to get them into trouble where they have to go to jail and then I'm dealing with them from jail. I don't want to do that. But if that is in someone, if jail or pushing someone to their limits or provoking a situation so that the person blows up uh, is in that person, then that person is pulling you over to their side. They are provoking you to anger. They are causing, situations where you have to fight on their behalf. It's like the woman at the bar, the wife at the bar. She's always in trouble with some other woman or some man, and then her husband has to come along and rescue her, while also um, fighting off someone who may be attacking his wife. And it's that wife who continues to get her husband into trouble, right, into danger. She doesn't care anything about him. She can't, because why would you want your husband to keep fighting like that? But you have to challenge his belief system as well. He decided to continue in a relationship with someone who kept getting him into trouble. So then when you look at those two people, what intent did they have for their relationship or their marriage? One had the intent of just relying on someone who was stable, who had the money. She didn't necessarily have to work, but she didn't have a life plan for herself. She never did anything beyond maybe going to school or something like that. And so when she gets bored, she creates chaos and toxicity. He married someone who he felt like he needed to rescue, who he felt like needed a savior, and maybe he's a handsome man or not. It doesn't really matter, because you have handsome men who deal with toxic women too, and maybe He just believes that if he sticks it out, I can I can change her, I can help her, I can do this, right? And maybe there's a toxic dynamic that he has with his own mother, who was maybe just in and out of relationships, never keeping them stable. They always had to move, right? And so now he's attracting a person who looks just like his mother, right? Okay. The daughter of the wife that he's with, or the romantic partner that he's with, is also chasing her mother. If However way she's acting in the relationship with this stable man, or at least perceivably stable man, is something that was likely modeled to her from her own mother. Some sort of toxicity, chaos, not stable, can't sit down somewhere, can't keep a job, won't go to school, won't commit to any self improvement, maybe jump from men to men in relationships, right? And so both of these people have two different types of intent. So again, when you go back to the relationship and why she refuses to reconcile with you, it has a lot to do with this idea that she never had any plans to stay. That's actually at the heart of the situation, because it's like I said, there is no infidelity, there's no domestic violence. He seems to be a good lover. You seem to kind of want to be with the person, so why are you not wanting to reconcile? Reconcile could mean a number of things: coming back together, listening to each other, loving each other, reciprocity, being there for each other. You do for me, I do for you, and not in a manipulative way, but relationships are or should be or house some form of reciprocal nature. You shouldn't continually pour into someone and no one is pouring into you, especially if that person is a romantic partner of yours. And so when why she refuses to reconcile with you is because she never planned on staying. There's always someone else, speaking to the intent uh, of goal setting, right? There was always somebody else that she wanted to return to, or some ideal of somebody that she had in mind, but she never planned on staying. Just because somebody moves their clothes into your house, cooks for you, participates in lovemaking. You go out to dinner, you go out to outings, you go to the club, you do all different types of things that mimic a relationship, a romantic relationship. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the person is with you. They could just be you could be literally a placeholder for someone. And in this case, if she's refusing to reconcile with you, that means you are likely a placeholder. And whoever she really wants is predicated on maybe her attitude, her belief system, her heart. Maybe she never got over someone, whoever that person is. Maybe there was a previous death in a romantic partner, and she never really tried to recover. So the memory of that person just keeps her in a stronghold. I mean, you have that situation that's going on today with um, some celebrities who are still sort of living in the nostalgia of a past relationship while they are married today to someone else. And that's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing to be with someone who still wants to be with someone else, and that person is gone on and married someone else, or that person is dead, or that person does just not want to be with them at all. And so when she refuses to reconcile, she's holding out hope against hope, that the person that she really wants to be with will eventually come around. So not only have you moved from being a placeholder, but you also move into the idea of rebounding. You have become a rebound, because then she'll try to seek out the person that is missing in her life right now. She'll seek out someone who looks like that, who mimics that, who reminds her of that, and she'll try to pursue that relationship, even though she does not plan on staying in that relationship either. But she'll seek it out to soothe her anxiety. She's anxious about not being with the person that she really wants to be with, and so she'll try to find someone who has the same type of behavior issues, mannerisms, the way they wear their clothes, the way they speak, the way they sometimes can be kind of volatile, and then she feels like she has to save that person. In other words, it reminds me of this movie with Betty Davis, and I forget the male actor's name, but the title of it was Of Human Bondage. And um, uh, the female character's attitude towards the guy who wanted her was horrific. She treated him so badly. And she kept reaching out for other types of men, different categories of men, pursuing them. And then it'll go good for a good minute, and then they would dump her, and then she would turn around and come back to the guy that she mistreated. Now they never had a romantic relationship, but he was so enamored with her, he wanted to make her his own, and that's not in a controlling sense. He just saw something in her that he wanted to help and love and be there for. But she couldn't receive him. She couldn't receive his love. She couldn't receive his help. She misplaced her anger. She was more angry with the people who didn't want her, and she projected all that anger onto him, onto a person who did want her. And she just couldn't deal with it. And so she would leave and come back, leave and come back, and leave and come back. And there was a situation one time before when he wanted to meet her again, and she stood him up or something like that. And then he found her on the main street, and he looked at her, and just a thought came to mind, which I would classify as a revelation about the situation. That she's looking for him like he's looking for her. In the same way, she's searching for the man who doesn't want her, while he's also searching for her, and he knows she doesn't want him. And it's of human bondage, this sort of um, um, stronghold, soul tie that someone has over your life, um, because of some kind of connection that is hard to break. And so when she refuses to reconcile, she already knows who her soulmate is in her eyes, right? In her understanding. She already knows who her soulmate is. She already knows who she wants to live the rest of her life. She even considers herself to be a wife to him, even if they are or not married. She considers herself to be a wife. She's already positioned her mind and heart and body and soul and spirit to be connected to him. And it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how you try to work out the situation with her, how you present your best foot forward, how you dress the part, look the part, actually reflect the part of a stable, and you can still be good looking, stable man. It doesn't matter. Her mind and her heart are still with someone else who is not available in the moment. Now, I'm not saying that the person does not want her. You can still have a situation where the person does not want her. The person could be in prison. The person could be in jail. The person can be out of town. The person could be away at a college. It can. What it is that there's so much distance in the situation that she's longing for him, to be with him. But there must be something with the situation, because if she's longing to be with him, why isn't he longing to be with her? And if the person is away somewhere, maybe like in the military, why hasn't he arranged for her to come and live with him? If he's out of town, maybe it's hard to do with being in college, right? Because he might live in the dorms. But if he has his own apartment wherever he is, why hasn't he arranged for her to come and live with him and be with him? What's going on with that situation? And so here it is, you provide a home for, you provide a place to live, you give her some money uh, to carry out her day. She has everything and all things what she needs at your house, but somehow she doesn't want the comforts of your house. She doesn't want the stability of your house. She doesn't want the predictability of your house. She wants to run the streets, and whether she's for the streets or not, that's not up to me to decide, because you can be somebody who does not run the streets but still struggle to accept someone who loves you, especially if you have been rejected all your life, and you may have an avoidant attachment style because of how you were treated. It may depend upon um, your childhood and your toxic family dynamic. If you were scapegoated, a lot, you were treated as a problem, provoked to anger, and then you were gaslighted. You may take some of those same types of feelings and emotions and belief systems into another relationship unless you get healed. So everyone on some level has had some form of trauma that might have been too hard for them to reconcile, to resolve and recover from. But when she's refusing to reconcile with you, all that means, and whether we look at it from the female perspective or the male perspective, I believe it falls up under the general category is that they never planned on staying there. They are they're almost like a vagabond. They're almost like a wanderer. And they are looking for what looks like whatever is in their head that will work for them. And people kind of stay with you, but they don't want to stay too long because they know that there are responsibilities. If you're going to be in a relationship with someone, it's responsibility. It's being an adult. But people will leave relationships on purpose just to keep from being an adult, just to keep from exercising responsibility, being conscientious about how they conduct themselves, what their behaviors are, how they treat other people, etc. And so they would rather do all of that than to actually stay with you and be stable. So again, why she refuses to reconcile with you it is literally because she never planned on staying. She moved in, she decorated the place with you, or she did not decorate the place with you. Regardless, she never planned on staying. I have a really good visual of this. When I was down, financially down, due to the financial recession, I lost everything. I lost my place of living, and I had to go and live in multiple shelters. And when I had to go live in Salvation Army, and this is when I was closer to finishing out my correction process. I didn't go to prison or anything like that, but just experiencing a life setback and making a decision of disobedience, and then having to go through the correction process. Right, I was fairly at the end of my road, in a sense. But I remember once I had to stay in a shelter for 30 days before I can get on program. And program could be for a single individual without kids, maybe 3 to 6 months. If you have a rehabilitation problem, substance use issues, or whatever, that could be 18 months. If you are being paroled to, for to Salvation Army, that could be also 18 months with a lot of rules that you have to meet. And so they had different types of categories. And then, of course, women, family, children, they could stay longer, right? And so I remember getting on program after a month, and then you are assigned to a room. It's about 4 people in a room. Kind of, it is reminiscent of the ideal of a suite, but it wasn't a suite, of course. It was 4 bunk beds, and you had your own side and bed and everything, and I think like a footlocker. And the first thing that came to mind, I never forget it, because I looked around and I saw all of the other residents, and they had kind of decorated their sides and everything. And so, and you could tell they had been there for a while. And a while doesn't necessarily mean months. It could be, 3 to 6 months, and then you found it useful to just kind of make your space livable, nice and everything. Bring in a potted plant or something, or a picture. And I looked at my space, and I liked it. But I looked at my space, and the very first thing that came to mind, and I kid you not, The first thing that came to mind was, I cannot decorate this place. I'm not going to decorate this place. I'm not going to put up stuff. I'm not going to get comfortable here. I'm not going to bring in pictures and flowers and anything. That I'm going to use the Foot Locker, and I'm going to uh, keep everything that I have in the Foot Locker, and I have to make my bed every day, that type of thing. But I did not bring in any special pillows, special covers, anything. I wanted to know, I wanted to tell myself that you are not staying here. However useful the shelter is for helping you get back on your feet, you have to be of the mindset that you're not going to stay there. And I remember seeing elderly women, 60 years old and older, living at the shelter, and they had just practically, given up. When in reality, you should be in the mindset, okay, I'm in the shelter, but now I need to get on program so that I can get into maybe like a housing program, and then I can get housing, and then I can leave from here. I cannot stay here. And but that didn't happen. Some people died from there. Some people and not necessarily died in the center itself. They had to go for some medical situation, and then they never returned. So we have to assume that something happened to them at the hospital. But I remember that I'm not going to decorate the place. I'm not, because I'm not staying here. And it didn't matter that they gave me limits, because that meant that I couldn't stay there. No, I made up in my mind that I was not going to stay here. I was not going to stay in that place, right? And so when you think about why she refuses to reconcile with you, it has the same sort of uh, meaning and message about, I don't plan on staying here. There's no need for me to decorate. There's no need for me to fully get into a relationship with you. I'm only going to do surface level, and it's going to look like I'm in a relationship with you, but in reality, I'm not in a relationship with you. I'm doing just enough so that I don't lead you to believe that I plan on leaving, but I'm going to tell you that I'm investing or we're staying together and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to pull at you like we are in a relationship, when in reality we are not in a relationship, because I don't plan on staying. I don't plan on staying, so there's no need for me to decorate the way I would normally decorate the house if I wanted the man that I really wanted to be with to come to the house. I'll throw in some throw pillows, because I do like to shop. I'll put some, I buy some comforters or something like that, because I do want where I am to be kind of pleasant. But I'm telling you right now, I don't plan on staying. And even though I'm not telling you directly, that is my intent. And so one of these days, when the guy that I really want to be with comes around, and he shapes up and grows up and he gets a place for us, one of these days you're going to come home and you're going to see that I'm not there. You're going to see my clothes packed. You're going to see, all my clothes are gone, everything. And I might even take all the stuff that you bought, that you thought I was trying to decorate the house. I might take all of that stuff with me as well. And the reconciling is the coming together, coming into agreement, uh, being together, walking together in agreement. I'm just refusing to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm already married to somebody else. That's what that means. Why she refuses to reconcile with you. I'm already married to someone else. So while I'm living in your house, I'm basically homeless. I'm just homeless. I'm just using your house because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I couldn't go back to my mama's house. I couldn't go back to a sibling's house. I couldn't go back. The guy that I really want to be with, he's not out yet. And so I didn't have anywhere else to go. I didn't have anywhere else to live. You opened your doors, so I decided to come and live with you. But I'm basically homeless in your house because, it's not my house, even if you are opening up your doors. But I'm homeless emotionally and psychologically and spiritually because I really want to be somewhere else. I don't want to be with you. And it doesn't matter how I keep showing you that I want to be with you, it doesn't matter. I still don't want to be with you. So why she refuses to reconcile with you is because she never planned on staying. She is sort of like a homeless person in your house to the point of being a squatter, emotional squatter. And when she doesn't want to come together in agreement, she doesn't want to walk together in agreement, she doesn't plan on staying. And so, yeah, you have tied yourself to her, and she has let you tie herself to her. But all that matters is that she's holding the strings, and she can untie and tie and untie and tie and untie and tie however many times she wants to, and however many times you allow her to. So I want you to think about this because I can really go on and on. I feel like I want to, but I kind of want to stop right here. And so don't move her in. Why she refuses to reconcile with you, again, is about she never planned on staying, so there was no need to decorate. She's basically a homeless wanderer, vagabond, emotionally and physically. And until the person that she really, and you are essentially a placeholder, and until the person she really wants to come with, uh, wants to be with comes together, she will continue to stay in your house like a squatter. And she'll continue to take whatever she's going to take from you, whatever you want to give, but she's never going to be with you. She's never going to you will never be able to rely on her emotionally. It will always be like you are walking on a broken foot, a broken ankle. There's no stability there. There's no reciprocity there. There's no faithfulness there. There's no loyalty. There's no ride or die. The only person that she's a ride or die to is the person that she really wants to be with. So this is Don't Move Her In, Why She Refuses to Reconcile with You. Visit reginawhitefavors.com for more tips and resources and videos. Also, visit reginawhitefavorsauthor.com. That's the online store. You can also shop on Amazon, amazon.com /author Regina White Favors. And then you can visit our YouTube channel at Regina White Favors. Thank you very much for listening.